shoulders now the other way. Throwing it up for Shaq, and he one-hand slammed it.
Remember when Shaquille O'Neal joined the Boston Celtics to pursue his 5th championship, but ultimately failing in the most embarrassing way? The self-proclaimed Big Shamrock looked like a mere fragment of what he once was. But funny enough, the Celtics were 28-9 when Shaq played, but only 28-17 when he didn't. So he still contributed to helping his team win. In this video, however, let's take a detailed look at 6 of the most embarrassing attempts at ring chasing. And unlike Shaq, who actually is a former multiple-time champion, these 6 players never won a title, and their last desperate attempts at getting one turned into dust.
Just want to say to their organization, congratulations and good luck. We just didn't get it done, but I just try to come back next year and do a better job.
Karl Malone. Who can forget this infamous super team? In the 2003 offseason, 2 longtime veterans approaching the end of their careers, Gary Payton and Karl Malone, yearned for a championship, after nearly 2 decades of coming so close but falling short. They decided, well, it's time for an easy ride, and by joining the Lakers, they assumed it would be an easy ride. While Gary Payton eventually won the title with the Miami Heat a few years later, the same cannot be said for Karl Malone. The 2003-04 season turned out to be his final year in the league, and it was a rough one indeed. For one, Malone was always an Iron Man. Dude played at least 80 games in every single season of his career besides the lockout-shortened season, and he never got a serious injury before. Until now. The Lakers started the season going 18-3 with Malone in the lineup, but a knee injury forced him to miss 39 straight games. It was nearly 3 months before he returned, and when he did, it was clear the injury still bothered him, and that lingered through the playoffs too.
Right now, I'm looking at Karl Malone, and they're going to have to yank him off the floor.
No doubt.
Ultimately, the Lakers still reached the finals, and despite being heavy favorites, got stomped by the Pistons in 5, with Malone re-injuring his knee and struggling to produce against Detroit's daunting defense. However, it wasn't just the misery on court that plagued Karl's time in LA. Off the court, the Lakers' drama was headlined by Kobe Bryant's court trial, and apparently him and Karl never got along either, with Kobe telling him to, quote, "stay away from my wife, what's wrong with you?" I guess there's quite a few things wrong with him. This was after an encounter where he caught Karl flirting with Vanessa. Of course, neither of them should be held in high regard, but for Karl, this was the moment that made everyone realize he's not going to be back next year. Kobe literally went to the Lakers front office and requested them not to re-sign him, to which Karl made this public statement: "Misery loves company. This is a Hollywood soap opera, and I'm not going to be a star in another Bryant soap opera." And that was it. The Lakers did not bring him back, and his career ended just like that. One of the most embarrassing failed attempts at ring chasing that ended in the most humiliating way. And with that whole interaction with Kobe, I didn't think Malone's reputation could get even worse, but it did. Wesley Matthews. For those unfamiliar, Wesley Matthews was a prominent role player for a long time, mostly known for his days as the starting shooting guard on the Portland Trail Blazers, and later on, the Dallas Mavericks. However, a torn Achilles in 2015 severely slowed him down, and some would say he never successfully bounced back from that injury. When his days in Dallas concluded, he opted to chase what he never accomplished, that illustrious title. Sadly, the championship has always eluded him several times. Here's what I mean. In the 2019-20 season, Matthews signed with the Milwaukee Bucks, joining reigning MVP Giannis with one goal in mind: to win the championship at all costs. Nearing the end of his career and seeing his game steadily drop off, Matthews knew there wasn't much time left. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. The Bucks got surprisingly bounced in the second round to Miami, and the Lakers won the championship that year.
This historic 2020 NBA championship belongs to the Los Angeles Lakers.
So Matthews then decided, you know what? LeBron, Anthony Davis, it seems like they're gonna dominate the league for the next couple years, so let me hop on that train. In the 2020 offseason, Matthews signed with the defending champion Lakers, hoping to try again for the title. Yet, in the same season he joined, the Lakers fell apart with injuries. Bron and AD both missed about 30 to 40 games each, so Matthews found himself in a situation where winning the title seemed far out of reach. He also had the worst year of his career. Hilariously, the Bucks won the championship in 2021. So now he regrets leaving and went back to Milwaukee to try and win again. In the 2021 offseason, he returned to the Bucks and lo and behold, they get knocked out of the second round.
In a classic series between two terrific teams.
Basically, he joined the Lakers after they won the title, and the Bucks before and after they won the title. Yet he ended up with nothing to show for it, but wasting away the final years of his career. Matthews ultimately gave up on his ring-chasing journey and spent his final days in Atlanta, warming the bench. Call it bad luck, call it a futile attempt or several futile attempts, he was inches away from getting his ring twice, but his timing was just slightly off. Blake Griffin. The latter part of Blake Griffin's career can only be described as forgettable. On the Pistons, he was forced to undergo 2 different surgeries on the same left knee that's been ailing him for years. And ever since then, Griffin was no longer capable of being the first or second option or even a starting caliber player anymore. From having arguably his best season ever in Detroit to having his contract bought out a year and a half later, his fall from grace was just like that, heartbreaking. One moment, it looked like he could become Detroit's savior, and he truly wanted to revitalize the city to its former glory. The next moment, he can't even play anymore. So he figured with his career dwindling away quickly and without a championship to his name, all that was left was to go after that title. So he signed with the absolutely loaded Brooklyn Nets, a team that sported Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving. They had no other goal in mind but to compete for the championship.
Griffin receiving a standing ovation for the Hustle Club.
Griffin actually played a significant amount of minutes in the playoffs, 27 minutes a game, and he had some phenomenal games against the Bucks, putting in his best efforts to complement the other superstars. Sadly, it wasn't enough. As the Nets were favored to reach the finals, they faltered in the second round, a phrase that Griffin has heard way too many times. Fast forward to September 2022, he had another chance to chase that title. A few months after the Boston Celtics lost to the Warriors in the NBA Finals, Griffin noticed this young, upcoming Celtics team and thought to himself, I want in. He signed a 1-year minimum contract, but he didn't really play much at all. In fact, this turned out to be his final year in the league, as the Celtics got knocked out in the Eastern Conference Finals by the 8th seed Miami Heat. Then, right after he retired, the Celtics won the 2024 championship. The funny part is, Griffin was contemplating returning to the Celtics for one last season, but he realized his body was breaking down and couldn't contribute like he wanted to. Dude has had 9 different surgeries in his 10+ years in the NBA, so it was time to hang it up. Anderson Varejao. For most players who chase a title, they're shameless and don't care about embarrassing themselves. For Anderson Varejao, however, his story of chasing a championship is more demoralizing than most, cause he never even wanted to in the first place. Varejao spent 11 seasons on the Cleveland Cavaliers from 2004 until 2015. He was there through LeBron's first stint in Cleveland and still remained after he came back for his second stint. This brings us to the 2014-15 season. LeBron's first year in his return saw the Cavs reach the finals where they lost to the Golden State Warriors. Varejao did not play in the playoffs at all. In fact, the past few years have been rough. He was hospitalized for a blood clot, he suffered a broken wrist, and he even tore his Achilles that forced him to miss the entire 2015 playoffs. The season after, Varejao's role on the team greatly diminished and the Cavs traded him to Portland, where he'd get waived. Upon clearing waivers, Varejao shockingly signed with the Warriors. I mean, maybe it's not shocking because he realized his career was coming to a close, so he might as well try to snatch the first ring of his career. Except we all know what happened in 2016.
It's over! It's over! Cleveland is a city of champions once again!
Varejao lost in 2015 as a Cavalier to the Warriors. Then he lost in 2016 as a Warrior to the Cavaliers. Because he was technically part of the Cavs' 2015-16 roster at the beginning, the team still offered him a ring, but he felt it was wrong to accept it. What hurt him more wasn't missing out on a championship, but the Cavs trading him away mid-season, after being with the team for over a decade. He was visibly upset and took a long time to get over it. For the Cavs, it was a trade they had to make. This was actually a 3-team trade which saw Channing Frye arrive to Cleveland, who played a major role in their playoff run for his ability to shoot threes as a 7-footer. He fit much better on this version of the Cavs than Varejao did. Chris Paul. You know, you could argue CP3 tried to chase for a title multiple times, heck, even when he joined James Harden in Houston, but he was also a major piece for the team, so I don't think that counts. But I do think his lone season in Golden State fits the criteria. Upon his arrival in 2023, he made his intentions clear. He wanted to join a team with an established winning culture. It also happened to be the first time of his career when he came off the bench. Prior to Golden State, Paul started in 1,214 consecutive games. So to just take a step back and not start was a new thing he was willing to accept if it meant a shot at getting a ring. Unfortunately, this attempt at chasing the title wasn't exactly the best attempt. While the Warriors did win the title a year ago in 2022, their team was getting older. Most reasonable folks assumed that was the Warriors' last run, so Paul kinda joined them a few years too late. To be precise, they were bad and missed the playoffs entirely. Eric Dampier. What do you know about Eric Dampier? If you're like me, you probably remember him for his years in Dallas. Dampier was the team's starting center for a long time during the midst of Dirk Nowitzki's prime. He was their center when Nowitzki won his MVP and when the Mavs reached the finals in 2006. In the playoffs, however, he was quite ineffective. Actually, he lost his starting spot to Sardana, who played with much more effort. Eventually, the Mavs saw their hopes for a title dwindle as the Heat came back to win in 6 games. One would imagine this Mavs team surely would be back in the finals soon, considering they're still young and in their primes. Unfortunately, for the next 4 seasons, they couldn't make it back there. Eric Dampier's final year on the Mavs would be the 2009-10 season. In the summer of 2010, upon hearing LeBron's decision to join Miami, Dampier realized his career was coming to an end and wanted one last chance to win the title. He did not believe Dallas was the place to do it. With the Heat being heavy favorites coming into the season, it seemed like a good choice to join. Little did he know, that would also be the same season the Mavs ignited a fairy tale run to the finals, where, coincidentally, they defeated the Miami Heat to capture their first ever championship. With Eric Dampier watching from the bench as he witnessed his former team clutch it out in spectacular fashion.
Nowitzki, left hand, lays it in, and it's 103-92, and that should do it for the Dallas Mavericks.
That's gotta suck. I mean, I don't blame Dampier for jumping ship, because Miami was definitely the favorites to win, but to do it in the summer right before the Mavs won the title is gut-wrenching. Then again, you could also say if the Mavs never replaced him with Tyson Chandler, they wouldn't have won in the first place. So Dampier leaving might have been a blessing in disguise. And those were 6 of the most embarrassing failed attempts at ring chasing in NBA history. Let me know in the comments, can you think of any other players who also failed at ring chasing in a very embarrassing way? Anyway, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and of course, as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.